Well, that is a hell of a welcome. Hello, thank you for coming to the Edinburgh International Book Festival. My name is Lee Randall, and this, of course, is Susan Calman. I am just going to tell you a few bits and pieces. If you can keep your phones on silent, or put them on silent if you haven't already. Maybe wait to do any pictures or things like that when the lights come up later for audience questions. There'll be time for that. And I'll just tell you that after the event, the book is on sale next door, and Susan will be placed
with
Not even
published yet.
Not even published yet.
It's published on the 6th of September, and we got rush copies,
right?
So it's not even on sale anywhere else.
I'm going to do it as a display.
This is the only place you can get it.
So, subtle. I'm known for my subtlety. So, I am beyond chuffed to be here with Susan. She's one of the hardest working human beings in show business, and so I'm going to give you a bit of an abbreviated introduction, because otherwise we won't have time to talk about Sunny Side Up. I'm pretty sure that most of you know by now that Susan left a promising legal career for the sugary peg life of comedy, and triumphed. More than triumphed. She fronts her own radio programs and appears regularly on shows such as News Quiz and I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, and as a QI panelist on television. And throughout this year's festival, you're doing a BBC Scotland talk show.
It was on Sunday, Fringe Benefits.
Right.
Yes.
Just the once?
Yes, well, it's a pilot to see whether or not they want to do more.
So, we call for your enthusiasm.
The budget was £5.50. Come on. It's not going to cost a lot to do a series. I'll fund it myself.
I'm still introducing you.
Oh, sorry, apologies, sorry. I'm not as professional as Lee is used to.
I'll tell you also that Susan's acclaimed BBC podcast, Mrs. Brightside, focused on depression, which is what she wrote about in her first book, Cheer Up, Love. And there are several projects in the work for Channel 5, including Susan Calman's Secret Scotland and Before They Were Stars. Plus, big breath as I read out more things, her new Radio 4 show will be called Susan Calman Makes Me Happy, which I think is just pretty true for all of us. You do make us all happy.
Yeah.
And I haven't even mentioned that last year you might have noticed that Susan was a contestant on BBC's Strictly Come Dancing. Don't worry, we'll be talking more about that and about joy and kindness in the course of the next hour. There will be time for your questions at the end. So eyes forward, assume the position, and here we go. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you very much indeed. Hello, everyone.
So delighted to be here. Having talked to you several times about being depressed, it's so lovely to be here talking about joy and kindness.
Yeah, it was getting boring, wasn't it?
No,
me being depressed all the time.
But I wanted to, it's not the case that a person who suffers with depression suddenly wakes up one day and it's fixed and it's cured. But you really have had a turning point, and what you describe in the book is a mental upgrade.
Yes.
So can you talk us through some of that?
Do you know, strangely enough, the first book which I spoke about at the Edinburgh Book Festival, called Cheer Up, Love, was about the fact that I have depression. And oddly enough, writing that book changed me, because I realised I was really depressed. Do you know what I mean? When I wrote about my life, I thought, my goodness, you've missed out on a lot of life by being depressed. And it kind of helped me to say, well, why not try and find a little bit more joy and a little bit more happiness in life? I'm still depressed.
Well, that's what I wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. Still depressed. It hasn't changed. I just try and find joy in things a bit more than I used to. Depression doesn't, my type of depression doesn't go away at all. But I think analysing it and writing about it helped me kind of look at it and think, okay, I'm 43, shut up. Stop. Do you want to live another 43 years feeling quite so angry? I think that's the thing out of Cheer Up, Love. I felt angry towards myself and the world. And I thought, I can change a few things that means I'm not quite as angry about the world and myself.
But you see, Trump, Brexit, I'm angry all the fucking time now. How are you coping?
Well, it's
Is it true you don't digest the news as much as you used to?
I don't at all. Unless I'm on the news quiz, I don't read the news at all, really. because I can't do it. And I am not a subscriber to fake news or bias or any of that kind of stuff. The journalists I've met are generally very nice people just trying to do a good job. But the way that some media outlets present the world makes me more angry than the news they're presenting. So I don't believe, for example, when I did my stand-up tour, I went to some very Brexit-heavy parts of the country. Mm-hmm. And I stood on stage and I said, as a radical lesbian feminist from Scotland who voted Remain, this is awkward. But I didn't call them racist. I didn't insult them, because people vote various ways for various reasons. And actually it's about the kindness of not categorizing people. So I don't look at the news. I took people off my Twitter feed. I took news outlets off my Twitter feed. And I look at kitten pictures. Mm-hmm. And I look at positive news stories now. And I really try and avoid the news completely. I don't read newspapers. Don't read them. Just live my life, And as I say in the book, genuinely, 2 years ago, one thing to thank Donald Trump for. 2 years ago, my wife and I, being Scottish, are financially prudent. And I was always like, we're not spending any money. And we'd lived in the same flat for 15 years. We'd done it up, very little mortgage. That's the way I liked it. And then when Donald Trump was elected, we thought, look, we're probably going to die. And if we're going to die, let's buy a big house. Because at least we're going to be sitting in our big house when the bombs drop.
Yeah.
So I went to the bank and I said, can I have an unfeasibly large mortgage? And the bank manager said, can you pay it back? And I said, does it matter anymore? And to her credit, she said, not really. And that's why I remain with the Royal Bank of Scotland, because they are tremendous people. So that brings me happiness. I've broken out of this whole we've got to have money to I've got no money, but I've got a big house, and if that's where we die, do you know what? That's where we die. So, and that's a strange way of looking at joy, but actually, nothing makes me happier than hoovering the stairs. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
I've never had stairs before. I spend hours just hoovering my stairs. It's brilliant. I've got a thermostat. I've never had a thermostat.
In the book, you sort of define both kindness and joy. I was
Yes.
intrigued by your definition of kindness because you went back to your legal roots.
Yes, sorry.
Can you? There's a diff between the act and the thought behind it.
Yeah, so in legal terms, very basic terms, in order to commit a crime, you have to have the mens rea and the actus reus. So you have to do the thing and you have to have the thought of doing the thing. And for me, that's what kindness is. Kindness is doing something and meaning to do it. There can be accidental points where you're kind, but what I'm trying to encourage is people genuinely wanting to be kind and wanting to be kind to each other. So my definition is it's a kind criminal act, if you will. That you mean to actually be nice to somebody and you do something about it. Mm-hmm. So it's not that kindness can't be accidental, but what I'm trying to get at is that brilliant kindness is where you actually mean to do something and make someone feel better.
But when it's a stranger,
Yes,
because you're shy.
I'm very shy.
No.
Yeah.
You're shy.
Yes.
And have you ever felt, I want to do a kind thing right here, but
Yes.
And how do you deal with that now?
It's-
Are you more outgoing with it now?
What I always think is I don't want to regret not doing something, because I always feel worse. Again, it's tied up with the depression thing of not being unkind to myself. So if I'm on a train and I see somebody that needs help, I'd rather overcome my shyness to help them than then think for the next 24 hours, I hope they were okay. Mm-hmm. So I always think you'll feel worse about yourself, Susan, if you don't ask someone if they need help. And it does help the fact that people know me more now. Mm-hmm. I was walking through, I was at the Fringe last weekend, and someone just came up to me, genuinely came up to me, pointed in my face and went, dancing, and walked off. Thanks very much. But I think the act of helping, it is difficult. and sometimes, and I talk in the book as well about sometimes we're frightened of trying to help people. We're frightened of taking that step. But I think I would rather do that than regret not trying to help somebody.
I want to talk about the audience polls, but really quickly, I just want to ask you, when I first met you, when the first book came out...
I was working as a waitress in a
cocktail bar. And now look, you wrote in Cheer Up Love about being very physically kept yourself to yourself.
Yes.
And I remember the first time you gave me a hug, I was so shocked.
Yes.
But now you've got people coming up to you in the supermarket and grabbing
yeah.
hold of you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
How are you coping with all that?
Oh, it's interesting. People, for some reason, want to touch me. Not in a bad way, but people want to hug me. We went on a Strictly cruise, which was singularly the most extraordinary holiday of my life. The gayest thing I've ever been on in my entire life. And I was in the bar watching something, and a woman just came up and just started stroking my arm like you would a chinchilla or a Jack Russell. And she just went, "Oh, I thought you were great." I said, thank you very much. And then she just left. And I was at the queue in Boots, and a woman just hugged me. And it's strange because people are expressing themselves towards you. So it's lovely, but at the same time it's a little bit, and you know me, I'm a worrier. I'm always worried that I'll be accused of something. So I take the Pudsey, if you ever get a photograph with me, Pudsey Bear notoriously, you always see Pudsey's hands. That's why Pudsey always goes like that. And when I get photos done, I always go like that. so the people that, I'm not touching anything, I'm all right, because I'm worried about everything. So there's loads of photos of me, of these people hugging me and me going. So it's fine. I love it because it's an expression of how much people enjoyed, especially what I did on Strictly, and that's lovely. And I just have to get a bit used to people touching me.
You've been warned, so behave yourselves during the signing afterwards. And let's double back to your definition of joy.
Yes. I mean, joy to me is just extraordinary, and you can't really define it because everyone has a different definition of what brings them joy. You know, it can be something really simple, or it can be something quite complicated. So for me, it's the thing that just transports you. I talk about the Millennium Falcon. It's the thing that zoops you into absolute happiness. And it can be almost anything. You know, for me, it's being at home sometimes and the heating's on. And you've just watched your jammies. And there's a Miss Marple on the telly. Do you know what I mean?
And a cat in your lap.
Cat in my lap. I love Agatha Christie, any Poirots or Marples, because there's always a conclusion. I watched a film called Enemy, talking about Jake Gyllenhaal, and at the end of it, I was actually angry because it didn't make any sense. You know modern films that don't have a conclusion, and you're meant to work out I don't want to do. I don't have time. I had to watch a YouTube video to find out the solution. This is too much. Agatha Christie, someone dies, someone's caught. And at the end of it, you go, "Oh, that was lovely." "Oh, shall we have a mint Viscount? That was lovely." And everything's tied up and there's no loose ends and you don't have to do anything. So for me, freshly washed jammies, cat snoring, Agatha Christie, brilliant. That's joy. And that's a low-level joy. And then there's the bits where you see someone you haven't seen for 25 years suddenly and you get this huge rush of emotion. That's joy as well. And I know people who have children talk about them. I don't understand, but I know people who've got children say that they bring them joy when they walk or whatever they do for the first time. You know, and that's joy as well. So the thing that's great about joy is it's so personal to everyone. Whatever brings you joy is a gorgeous thing, I think.
Do you do this? Because I also suffer with depression. Sometimes I'll be maybe walking across the meadows, and suddenly the temperature's the right temperature, and my shoes don't hurt, There's no real problem. And suddenly I'll just find I have this tiny moment of peace. I actually stop. And I'm like, Lee, pay attention. Look, this is sort of happiness. This is sort of, I've become much more attuned to these little moments because they're so fleeting.
Yes. And I think it's about appreciating that moment of happiness, because we focus so much on negativity that actually focusing more on the joy aspect of it. And you can't really manufacture joy. You can be happy, but joy is something that can just, and it's unexpected sometimes. That's what's glorious about it. And we find it in very strange things. I find a perfect cup of coffee.
Oh, yes.
A perfect cup of coffee. Oh. Do you know what I mean? Just at the right time, the right temperature, perfect cup of coffee.
The right ratio of milk to coffee.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've started drinking oat milk. Who am I? And, that perfect cup of coffee in the morning. I love podcasts. I'm obsessed with podcasts. A new podcast, cup of coffee, quiet. Oh, beautiful. Joy, absolute joy. And then there's the exquisite joy, as I say, when I go to the gym. Mm-hmm. Last night, 9 o'clock, went to the gym. It was horrific for an hour. Joy. Oddly enough, absolute joy from feeling awful.
Do you still work with the trainer that makes you want to vomit?
No, because we joined a different gym. I had to join a different gym because in the changing rooms, everyone kept pointing at the lady from Strictly. And I'm not quite in the shape I was when I was on Strictly. So we joined a different gym. But I still love it. Still go boxing, still do weightlifting. Love it. Exercise is still the greatest thing in my life. Apart from my wife. Always forget to mention her.
She's fabulous.
Yeah, she's here.
She's fabulous. Because you talk about the difference between looking at things and experiencing them fully versus just sort of seeing them and having. To me, the analogy is when I go to a museum and there are people, usually from one specific country, which I won't name, taking pictures of the pictures rather than actually looking at the picture.
Yes, it's an extraordinary thing. We went to Florence, to the Uffizi gallery, and because you go to these things, you get the top visits in Florence. And I mean, I couldn't see a lot anyway, I'll be honest with you, because I can't see a lot because of the height. And what annoyed me was all the people that were in front of me weren't looking at the pictures. They were taking pictures of the pictures, which they'll probably put on Facebook and say I was at the Uffizi. And then they'll never look at the pictures. Instead of looking at things and enjoying things, and nothing frustrates me more than going to a gig or a show and people are looking at it through, stop looking at it through the phone. Put the phone away. I have 17,000 pictures of my cats. I never look at them. But it's just because I take loads of pictures. Look at the cat. The cat's there. And it's the connection. It's all about connections to me. It's, as I say in the start of the book, from forensic medicine, Locard's principle of every contact leaves a trace. Mm-hmm. So forensic medicine principle. And it's the same with human beings. And I think it's about getting out of this thing of, oh, that was great, I've got to take a picture of it. Just the things that are most prevalent in my mind are memories, proper memories, not the picture I took of something I saw. It's the memory of what I've experienced.
And that's what brings the happiness coming back,
Absolutely. When you're sitting and something sparks off your memory. Again, there's a story in the book of one of the most joyous moments of my life. It's a very strange memory. You'll all have a strange childhood memory that makes no sense. In the dining room of my parents' house, late summer, sun coming through the window, having a chicken korma, a terrible version of And Then There Were None. It's an Oliver Reed version from the 70s. It is horrific. It's one of the worst versions of And Then There Were None there has ever been. But it was on the telly, and it was just the most perfect evening, and my family were there, and it was beautiful, and I remember that joy. So the memory of that, rather than taking a picture of us all sitting around the table, is what brings me joy.
Yeah. So can we talk about the audience polls you did, and maybe even share some of them?
This is a new development, everyone.
First, we should explain that you asked your audiences, as you did a tour, you asked audiences to share a moment of when they experience kindness?
Yes, when I was on tour last time, I asked people to send me stories of kindness, and I didn't define it for them. I didn't tell them what I meant by kindness, because I wanted to see what they thought was a kind thing. And so there's lots of things. For example, this was one that happened a lot. A little act of kindness. I gave £1 to a woman in a car park as she didn't have enough money. That's a typical one, which is actually stopping now because they've got automatic number plate recognition. So that's spoiled. This is one that I really loved, and it's an example, I think, of kindness at its best. When behind a woman in the co-op short of cash for her shopping, my wife said, "Here's that £5 I owe you." And I love that, because it's being kind to someone without making them feel bad about having no money. Oh, I said I wouldn't sod and cry, Jesus. I cry all the time. If you've not been to one of these events before, at some point I will start sobbing about something.
I'm just really glad I didn't do it this time.
Yeah.
Usually it's something I ask
I cry
for.
about everything. Do you know, it's something, I was thinking about this, I literally cry at everything. I'm a very emotional person. I don't see that as a bad thing. I think me weeping constantly is a good thing. I mean, in public less so, in front of people. But I get really touched by these stories of kindness.
They are very touching. Do you think that it's more profound when somebody is kind to a stranger, when it's more random, or do you think all kindness is equal kindness?
All kindness is great. I think what's affecting about the stories in the book is that mostly these people don't know the name of the person that helped them. And my point is, you may not think your act of kindness is big, but in this book, people have remembered these things that people have done for them for years. And a small thing that you can do that costs no money can really affect someone. And I think that's beautiful, that all these people remembered something someone did for them. You know, gave someone a £5, no big deal. No, thank you very much. The lady with hankies in the front row, you've been to one of these before. Thanks very much. Oh, you can always spot a Calman audience, can't you? Covered in cat hair with tissues. And so I think it's just this thing of, you don't look for affirmation because you do it, and it can deeply affect somebody.
Yeah. Now, do you want my handkerchief?
No, am I right? Why are you not taking a picture of me weeping on stage for the Scotsman? Stellar morning with Susan Calman as she wept on stage. Right, next question.
Personally, I find it dead easy to be kind to other people, and almost impossible to be kind to myself.
Yes.
And I suspect you have the same problem, and I want to know, dear Dr. Calman, how do I overcome this?
Oh, I'm a doctor now, aren't I?
I know you are.
Oh, yeah. Not a medical doctor, I can't help you. Okay, so the main thing that came out of Cheer Up Love was how unkind I was to myself. And I think if you're unkind to yourself, it's more difficult to be kind to others because you wake up angry and annoyed and hate yourself and hate the world. And so part of it was trying to be kinder to myself. The most difficult form of kindness is being kind to yourself. It's really tough. Because I think generally, well, I'm very hard on myself. Most people are very hard on themselves. I know very few people who wake up in the morning and go, I am amazing. You know, mostly people look and see negativity. And so being kind to myself is actually the most difficult part of this.
Okay, top tips? I mean, I'm really begging for help here.
It was a very slow, incremental process, and Strictly was a big part of it.
Yeah, you did right that knowing 11 million people were watching you made you be kinder to yourself and enjoy the experience. To me, that feels counterintuitive. To me, that is diarrhea in my pants. So how did that actually work? How was the mechanism activated?
So it is a bit strange. But I made the decision to do Strictly. And it's one of these things, you know what it is, but you don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. So you know a lot of people watch it. Mm-hmm. It's about 20 million when you take in everything. It's the biggest show on television. And I thought, if I go out here and I hate myself so much, A, that'll come through to the audience, and B, I won't enjoy this. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I have to slightly embrace this. Mm-hmm. And people were enjoying what I did. And I thought, well, if people are enjoying what I do, maybe I'm not that bad. And so I started to kind of be kinder to myself as a result. And it was tough, but I did it.
But it must have been a big, you must have had a big talk to yourself, should I accept this gig or not?
Well, with Strictly, being honest, you don't say no.
Oh, okay.
If you're offered Strictly, you're only ever offered Strictly once.
So you say
Because
yes.
you say yes.
Yeah.
You say yes.
Yeah.
So I was, this isn't in the book, this is just for you. I think I was a very late decision. Because the lovely, marvellous Debbie McGee knew from April. And I was told, basically, at the end of July. My suspicion is that somebody dropped out, Lee. And I was told very, very late. Joe McFadden had been in the gym for 6 months getting ready. And I was told July-ish that I was doing it. So you don't say no. And I got an email. I was in Brighton doing a corporate. And my agent just sent me an email saying, they want you. And that was it. And you know what that means. Because when, Strictly want you, and then you say yes, because you have to say yes, and then you vomit for 5 weeks because you're about to do Strictly Come Dancing. And that's not right. That's weird.
Yeah. Again, in Cheer Up Love, there's a lot of, you talk a lot about coming to terms with your appearance and deciding on what clothes you felt most comfortable in and how to present yourself so that you went out with as much confidence as possible. And we saw you dancing in your pants there.
Yeah, you some pants.
So how was the whole thing with the wardrobe, and how do you, what kind of input did you have? What kind of input did they have?
They are amazing,
how
the wardrobe
long
people.
does it take to cover your face in
I
sequins?
was sometimes sewn into those costumes and wigs for 8-9 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So you arrive at Wonder Woman, that was 10 hours sewn into that wig and that costume. Because they sew you in. You're sewn in, the wig's sewn into your head, basically, to keep it there.
Ow, ow.
And it's very sore. And eventually you just get used to it because it's just so painful. You don't get a lot, you get input because they're great. They say to you, right, which part of your body don't you like?
Yeah, I'd be like, right, from...
And they went, right, okay, which parts of your body do you like? It's like, my nose is quite, my nose is all right. So they look at your shape. So the first thing they do is you strip off. So this is the first and most, I'm not good with my body. And you go into a room and you have to take off your clothes in front of 5 women. Because they put you in a suit and they make it so they can make the costumes according to your body shape. So you just take off your clothes. And you're standing there, and I'll be honest, not my best bra, and a pair of not my best pants, because I didn't know this was happening, just apologising for a bit. I'm very sorry about this. And then they make the dresses, and they're great. So they do it according to your body shape, and they are brilliant. They are brilliant, but there were times where I was concerned, because I hadn't worn a dress, hadn't worn a pair of heels. And I'm very honest in the book that what I wrote in Cheer Up Love is it was incorrect. I wore jackets and waistcoats and stuff because I was frightened of doing anything else. And actually Strictly showed me that I was frightened of people laughing at me by being feminine.
Really?
Yeah. And Strictly actually has completely changed the way I look at me and how I am. For a start, I started looking in mirrors, which I never did before, because you have to. You're filmed, you're photographed all the time. You have to. Kevin would film our routines, and I would have to look at myself dancing.
And isn't the rehearsal room completely mirrored?
No. We rehearsed in Pollockshaw's Borough Hall, Lee. We were not in... you see, when you watch Strictly, and all the people who trained in London were in these fancy... No, we were in Pollockshaw's Borough Hall, which was, by the way, amazing. We found a place in Glasgow, an old Borough Hall, that happened to have a sprung ballroom floor.
Oh.
Just 5 minutes from my house. And what would happen... It was wonderful. I love Glasgow. We'd be rehearsing. Stress. People from the office would just wander in with their pieces like that. Just sit down. We're rehearsing for Strictly Come. Oh, are you? Right. And we had to get out for 2 hours on a Wednesday because there was a tea dance every week. And these lovely older people would all come in and learn how to do dances. And we would stand and watch them. And once I said, can I join in? And they went, no. So, no, there were no mirrors, but how they do it is we would film it. You film it and you WhatsApp it to Strictly, because they're working out the costumes and the props and everything. It's all done with technology in terms of, so they want to see what you're doing every day so they can see if there's a problem week. Cha-cha week, for example, which was not going well. So it's difficult, but I had to just say, I thought if I wore a dress, I would look horrific. I would look stupid. And I think when you see yourself and you think, do you know what? This is not awful. And for me, that's a huge step. So being kind to myself, and I have completely changed what I wear, how I see myself, because I don't feel I need to. I was hiding under a uniform of waistcoats and jackets because I thought, this is fine. This is how I look. And actually now I think, do you know what? I might wear a dress. It's still weird, but you know what? I think letting myself go and saying, I can do this, I can be who I actually want to be and not be frightened of it.
So this is part and parcel. It feels like your world's opened up.
Completely. I was so controlling about my own life. So controlling. And Strictly was a jump into the unknown. And it was great. And I think part of me goes, well, do you know what? Maybe letting go and doing stuff is a great thing. Maybe I can find happiness if I'm not always so controlling about my life, if I just do different things. You know, I would go to restaurants and have exactly the same thing all the time. In fact, I would choose what I was having before I got to the restaurant. If you don't, you're weird. You know, I would look up and then I would know what I was having at the time. And actually, sometimes I've thought about not doing that. I haven't done it yet, but I've thought about it.
You're thinking about it. You're working up to it.
Yeah.
So what was your pre-show routine to get yourself G'd up to go out there? Because you describe it in the book, but I want to get you there.
So the Kevin, now I will start crying when I talk about that, idiot. So what happens is you stand, there's some metal, it's very unglamorous, it's hideously unglamorous backstage, 2 metal stairways. And we said, let's meet your Strictly stars, Chizzy Akadulu. And you're there, like this, in a dress that someone has literally just sewn you into, and you don't know your routine, and it's horrific, and you've seen Alexandra Burke dance, and she's great. First time I went there, I love Alex, is brilliant, but the first week, Alex did a rehearsal, and I went, well, that's it. I'll just, what's going on? Because she was amazing. So you're there like that. I'm like, okay. And everyone's gorgeous, and Charlotte's there, and she's 6 foot tall and skinny, and I'm like, oh, this is hideous, Kevin. What am I doing? And he used to say to me, first of all, he would say, there's nothing you can do that'll let me down. Idiot. And then he used to say this to me all the time, and it was our mantra. The Wonder Woman week, which was a difficult week because I was dressed as Wonder Woman, that's stupid. What's going on? And I said to Kevin, I can't do this. I can't be Wonder Woman. And he said to me, oh, stupid boy. He said, and it's the most, this is going to sound stupid, and you're going to laugh. But in the intense moment between 2 people backstage, it was incredible. He said, Susan, you're Michelle Obama, you're Gal Gadot, you're Beyonce, you're Shonda Rhimes, you're Madonna. Go out there and do it, you fucking idiot. And in the first bit of Wonder Woman, this is why it'll make sense if you look at it. Can I stand up? Is that okay?
No.
In the first bit of the Wonder Woman routine, I have to walk like this. And that was the bit I was like, Kevin, I'm from Glasgow. I can't. You're not brought up to do that. Because if you walk along Sucky Hall Street like that, everyone goes, she's got tickets on herself, hasn't she? What's going on there? So it's not within my nature to go, yeah, check me out. Yeah, bitches, come on now. It's not in my nature. And Kevin just went, come on, you can do it. And right before we started, that's what he said to me. And then when I strutted down there, I was Michelle Obama and Gal Gadot, and it was amazing.
And you kept that costume, didn't you?
I was allowed to keep one costume. And I have the Wonder Woman costume. And we're in a relatively new area, as I said, so I sometimes wear it to take the bins out, just so the neighbours know we've really brought the area down. But Kevin was a huge part of this. Kevin was a huge part of me being kinder to myself. He really was.
It would be horrible if you didn't get along with your Strictly partner because, as I understand it, once you go into a ballroom hall, you're basically kind of like...
It is.
I remember Lisa Riley telling me, well, then he shoves his leg between your legs, and you're like, whoa.
So, I've never danced before, right? Apart from social dancing. The purpose of social dancing, as we all know in Scotland, is to prevent any sexual activity. You might take your cardigan off if it gets a bit warm, but it's not sexy. Never danced. I haven't been that close to a man, deliberately, in a long time. Suddenly, literally, launch show, you're with Kevin. Yay, right, now we're in Pollokshaws Borough Hall. Okay, this is us. And you go, right, this is quite close. This is... Because you actually, the point of it is you have to be connected at the hip. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not meant to... So you're suddenly with a man you don't know. And it's a strange thing. So what you have to do is you're connected at the pelvis but not here. It's the vase. You're meant to look like a vase. Mm-hmm. And here's another tidbit for you. No one else will hear this. Luba, who's now a dancer on the show, used to come and help sometimes, especially if you weren't very good at dancing. And there was, in the quick step, there's a point where you have to change like this. And she would shout, apologies, tits, tits, no tits. Connected, not connected, connected. And she would shout, tits, tits, no tits. Tits, tits, no tits. Tits, tits, no tits.
Oh, brilliant.
And so sometimes if you rewatch some of my dances, you'll see me going... Because there's ways of remembering things. So I'd be going... Tits, tits, no tits. Tits, tits, no tits. And that's how they do it. It's all about the connection point. So you get to know... The reason why, when people do Strictly, and the Strictly curse obviously didn't hit me, but you get so close. 8 hours a day. We lasted 10 weeks. 8 hours a day, it's just you and them somewhere dancing. And the physical connection and the mental connection is incredible. Mm. And I think that dancing with Kevin is the most joyous thing I've ever done in my life. Oh. Absolutely. Oh. I never thought I could feel that happy. When we did the quick step, just... Yeah. It was like a biblical moment of joy.
But it was for us as well. All of us watching you on television. I know some people in the audience were actually at the tapings. It was joyful for the general public to see you in particular on Strictly because you were having such a good time.
And I think what I was as well, I don't know if this is right, but for me, I was such a fan of the show that it was like the people at home who were watching the show, what they would do if they ended up on the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who couldn't quite dance but really quite liked it. And I think I was just having such a good time. I think because of that relationship with Kevin, though, I do think if you have a partner, and you can tell, I think you can tell, if they're not getting on. But my relationship with Kevin, I was straight down the line. I WhatsApped him. We were in daily contact still. He was up last Saturday when I was filming that chat show, and he arrived. And I've got I Love Grimsby tattooed on my foot. I promised if we got to Blackpool, I'd get I Love Grimsby tattooed on my foot because he's from Grimsby. And we did. And I went to a really cool tattoo parlour in Glasgow. Really, super cool. This girl... young girl, she's amazing, covered in tattoos. So cool. and she'd just finished doing this entire sleeve of Batman or something. I mean, something cool. And I went and said, "Can I have I Love Grimsby tattooed on my foot?" And she was like, "All right." So the most painful thing I've ever had done in my life.
It's a painful
it was
place for a
horrific.
tattoo because there's all the veins.
It almost said "I love Grim" because I couldn't. But every day I look at it and it's an incredible reminder. It's my best foot, my right foot, my best foot forward of Kevin. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you did try a few other things to create joy. You have
Yes.
a list of them.
Yes.
Including shopping,
Nope.
hill walking,
Yep.
holidays.
Yep.
Wait. I mean, extreme sports, no joy but vomit.
Yes.
Animals.
Well, animals do. Animals do
Yeah.
create joy. But I tried things, when people say, "Oh, I had a great day shopping." I hate shop. I can't stand shop. I don't understand people who go shopping and don't buy anything. It's like they have a day out shopping. I don't understand it. Have a list and get it quickly and then go home.
Better still, shop online.
I don't understand this whole thing. Oh, we'll have a wee glass of wine and then we'll go down John Lewis. It'll be amazing. I can't stand it. What are you buying? Oh, nothing. We're just having a look. And my wife does it. It's horrific. We don't shop anymore. She'll touch everything.
Oh, yeah.
People who touch everything. Are you going to buy it? No. Why are you touching it? I just want to see what it feels like. What's wrong with you? Shopping, hate it. I went hill walking with a lovely Muriel Gray. She's nice, hated it. You should be walking to or from something, not just because.
Yeah.
Why are you just walking up a hill? What's at the top?
Yeah.
A view?
Yeah.
I've got a view from my living room. It's lovely.
Yeah. I'm totally with you on all this.
I don't understand it. So I tried a few things, and then basically things that make me happy: family, friends, cats.
And what about anything miniature? That one caught me off
Does
guard
it?
when
Was that
I
a strange one?
model
Yeah.
trains and anything miniature. I thought,
Yeah.
is it because she's short?
What? People often think that. I've got a very strange love of miniature things. Model trains. Love them. And miniature doll's house things. I don't have a doll's house. I'm not weird. But I like buying things that go in doll's houses. And then I put them in we were on a website and they had a miniature Battenberg tin. To scale. And my wife said, "Why do you want that?" And I said, "To look at it." And you put them in a display cabinet and then you take them out and look at it and put them away again. I just love tiny. I love it. And I want but the dream is to get a train set that I can sit on.
Now you have a garden.
Well, going around the garden, because when I was younger, this is the thing about when you see joy in others. We used to go to school, right? And we would drive past a house, and it had a circular garden. And one day we drove past it, and there was a guy sitting on a train going round his garden. And he looked like the happiest man I've ever seen. He was retired, I think. And I've always wanted, imagine having, so it would go from, I'd pick people up at the gate.
Oh, okay.
I'd have a uniform. I would theme it, so we'd have a ghost train, we would have a love train, we'd have a Christmas train. And the thought of having that train set makes me so happy that one day I'll look like that man and people will drive past my house and think, "Oh, she looks really happy." And then maybe they'll get a train. I mean, it's a niche ambition, but imagine
And
that.
100 years from now, someone will be sitting on the stage going, "Well,
So
my
that mad woman from
grandfather
Strictly,
saw
yeah.
Susan Calman riding around her garden on a train."
But you see, this is the thing to me. This is the thing about joy and memories and what I'm talking about in the book, is I remember that man looking happy, and I want to have that. I didn't have a mobile phone till 1999. I don't have a picture of that, but I remember what he looked like. I remember his face. And that, to me, was joy, and I want to have that joy. And my little train set's not technological. This is not the most amazing robotic thing. I just want to sit on a train going around my garden. I know I sound strange.
No,
But
no.
imagine the joy. My neighbours really will not enjoy me.
This is a little bit of a non sequitur.
All right.
I'm about to ask them to turn on the house lights, but before I do,
Yes.
league table of plastic bags.
Well, okay. So, plastic bags, there is a league table of plastic bags. You know, if you see someone with a Waitrose, Marks and Spencer's, Morrison's, the bottom is the blue corner shop carrier bag. Well, worse than that is the transparent one that falls apart. And there is a league table of plastic bags, and sometimes you put things in better plastic bags to make it seem like a better present. I save all plastic bags so that I can trade up what I'm, you know, if I've got a cake and it's Marks and Spencer's. They never look at the wrapper. Oh, it's Marks and Spencer's, so you trade up.
But this is actually part and parcel of you talking about you're against intellectual snobbery because
Absolutely.
whatever brings people joy should just be accepted for what it is.
The bottom line of the book is this. Someone came up to me in the gym the other day and said, oh, you were great in that show. Don't tell anyone I watch it. And that happens a lot. People come up and say, don't tell anyone I watch it. Whatever brings you joy should bring you joy. I hate intellectual snobbery. I hate people saying, well, it's not valid enough, is it? It's not valid. What are people learning from it? What are people taking away from the experience that they've got there? They just like the dancing. You just like a programme, you like a soap opera, you like this. If you like highfalutin stuff, good for you, brilliant. Personally, I like to understand what I'm watching. Just my bag. I've got enough going on in my head. I just like to watch something I like. So the point is, if something brings you joy, apart from one thing, which is taking joy in other people failing, that's awful. Take joy in positivity, but whatever it is that brings you joy, and just go for it. Do you know what I mean? If you like a custard cream, have a custard cream. Do you know what I mean? Just enjoy joy and kindness. We can slowly change the way things are going. From the ground up. We can start doing it. We can ignore the people who say that we're all horrible and racist and nasty. We're not. Let's do it ourselves. Sod the lot of them.
Can you turn the house lights up? Now,
House lights.
there are 740 of you. We've only got about 10 or 15 minutes.
Sorry.
There's a question right here in the front. There are 4 roving mics.
Yes.
Let's start with this question.
4 roving mics.
Right in the front because
Please be nice.
this
I'm
hand went
terrified
up
of you.
really
I can
fast.
see you on. You all look lovely, by the way, just to say.
And anyone who doesn't ask their question
Don't be terrified
in
of a
here-
brummie, Susan. I can.
No, absolutely.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
I became familiar with you through game shows because I'm a game show fan. So I first saw you on The Boss.
Yes.
And you've hosted like Top Class, Armchair Detectives, The Lie. Were you a game show fan before you started hosting them? Did you like grow up watching them?
Oh, absolutely. Love game shows. Absolutely love it. Again, it's a very simple thing. For half an hour, you play along, you win or not. Pointless. Love Pointless. I've got a Pointless Celebrities trophy. I won it with my comedy husband, Giles Brandreth. He won it. I'll be honest. I was standing next to him. I'm not gonna overplay my part in that victory. But I love game shows, and I think nostalgia-wise, I love Saturday night entertainment. You know, you grew up watching the BBC because ITV would lead to prostitution, according to my mother. We weren't allowed to watch ITV because you don't watch it. Tis was, I don't think so. Only anything that was on the BBC. I love it, yeah, I love it. Love those kind of shows, they're brilliant fun.
There's a question over here.
Yes.
Hi, Susan. Oh,
Hi.
Oh, something. I'd say thank you very much for the laughs and the photograph with the bear.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's really important to push your comfort zone, to go way outside your comfort zone. So can we expect you to see you in the jungle and Celebrity or Love Island or what next?
Never. Two reasons. 2 reasons. Number 1, Strictly Come Dancing, in my opinion, you're not edited, you are what you are, and that's why the public vote for you, because it's not edited, you're not portrayed in a certain way. Celebrity, I think, I know what'll happen. They'll put me in with a racist, misogynist, homophobe, and I'll end up being thrown out for punching them. That's what'll happen. Do you know what I mean? And life's too short to sit, you know, with Nigel Farage in the jungle going, you're a dick. So No, I've done Strictly. That's enough. Thanks very much. No more of that.
There's a question up here.
I would do Celebrity MasterChef, though. I'd like that one. Yes?
Hello. I just want to ask you about being shy and how you prepare for an event like today.
Yep.
You're going to talk about yourself, and also what brings you joy in doing such an event like today.
Preparing for it, lots of pacing. I go to the toilet a lot, a huge amount, a lot. And also, I just have to. It's good. Lee and I have worked together before. I feel comfortable with her, so I feel less anxious about it. It's difficult. This is the first event I've done. Literally, this is 2 weeks before publication, so it's also a bit nerve-wracking in that sense. But there's a love letter in here to people who watch Strictly, because stop it. You changed my life. You kept us until week 10. No one said that was going to happen. I thought, I'm a short, wee Scottish lesbian, I'll be out in week 1. And we lasted till week 10 because I knew people, after Cheer Up Love, changed my life because you made me feel better towards myself. So I've come out to say thank you to you.
Aww. There's a question about midway up this way, and then there's a person in an orange shirt who gets the microphone next.
Hi. Thanks
Yeah.
for making me cry just before I...
Sorry, apologies.
Hello.
No.
I just came out as gay, and I'm also a Christian.
Yeah.
And help. Do you have
For
any
which one?
advice or anything that you...
You've come out as gay and you're a Christian. Just to reiterate, in case it's a dating situation you were interested in. Vicky Beeching's book. Have you got Vicky Beeching's book?
I have. I haven't read it yet. But
Yeah, so Vicky Beeching is a lovely lady she was a Christian rock star and has had terrible problems, I think, because after that, evangelical problems. Do you know what I think is you find the people who accept you. And you're going to meet it's the old kiss a frog situation. You're going to meet some idiots, but you'll find the people who accept you. And never doubt who you are. One of the things about the book is we've become very binary. You're pro-Brexit, you're anti-Brexit, you're whatever. Instead of looking at people holistically as, do you know what, I might have done this, but because of this, and look at me as a person. You're not a gay Christian, you're a person. And so if people can't cope with both of those things, they're not worth it. They're not worth it because other people will go, yeah, cool, you're just a person. And that's it. To me, it's about kindness is looking at people as people and not as, I voted this, I do this, whatever it is. There's some people we will never get along with, but most of us are a complex mass of different things. So why don't we stop looking at Twitter and seeing a hashtag and look at people as people? That's what I would like.
Thank you.
Susan, you were talking about having the heating on, your jammies on and watching Pyro or that.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you've discovered Murder, She Baked.
I have not, no.
It's really
Murder, She Baked.
baked. Uh-huh. There's also books from the books by Joanna Fluke.
No,
And
I
there's
have not.
also Aurora Tea Garden.
Oh.
And the garage sale mysteries.
Well, that's that sorted then, yeah. Thank you for
That's
the
your next
tip.
leisure
Have 'em
activity.
out next week.
Oh, thank you very listen, I'm always up for hints and tips. People often give me presents of books and TV shows. I love it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, there's one more right here.
Oh, no, we've got time for... It's
No.
41.
41, you have 4 minutes.
Right.
Is someone getting the...
I'm sorry to lower the tone, but you did mention going to the loo, and I have
Yeah.
to ask, when you said that you were sewn into your costume for like... I
Well done.
Phantom wheeze.
You are the only person ever brave enough to ask me that question.
Sorry. I actually, when we had the gay Christian conversation, and it was so deep and wonderful, and I was like, oh, well,
Okay, yeah, sure. Cool.
Now
So,
we want to know.
You cannot understand the terror in my body when I was told what would happen on Strictly Come Dancing, because I go to the toilet all the time, and before I do a show, I mean, it's like every 30 seconds. So, You don't drink anything after 9 in the morning. One of the reasons why everyone on Strictly is so, we cry a lot, is because we're dehydrated and exhausted, because you don't drink anything, right? Because if you go to the toilet, you have to use what was called the swimming costume maneuver, which I'd never encountered in my life before, but I quickly learned.
Where you move your gusset over.
You move the gusset.
Yeah. Obviously, I've encountered it.
You move the gusset. Sometimes, though, I was sewn, my pants and mic pack, literally sewn. There's nothing, you cannot move, at which point you simply don't take any liquid into your body or eat. And you just sit like that, hoping it'll all be over.
But how is a starving, dehydrated human being meant to do something physically active?
But that's what the BBC want, keep us starving. That's why we all look like this. When they do the show of, next up it's Kevin and Susan, and I'm like this, oh God, I just need the toilet. I just need the toilet so badly. And sometimes after I'd been on, I'd run to wardrobe, they'd cut me out, I'd go to the toilet, they'd sew me back in, and I'd be up in the Clauditorium again about 2 minutes later going, yeah, the men, it's worse for the men because their shirts sewn to their pants, sewn to their trousers. They're completely sewn in. Essentially, watch it this year, and if you see people... it's because we haven't been to the toilet in an hour. That and the shoes which made me feel physically, I hated it.
Well, you ended up getting shorter heels.
Yeah, they gave me the proper ones, and then they got me the young adult. Because I couldn't wear the proper heels. So I had to wear size 2.5 children's shoes. And that was dodgy. I'm not good at heels. So when you see them coming down the stairs, what you don't know is that they are in pain. It's painful. Sewn into everything, but then you just start. You just start, and it takes you away. And it is truly... Strictly Come Dancing, truly, won't hear a word said against it. Best show on television, changed my life, brilliant people. I mean, I've got Molly King from the Saturday's phone number. Debbie McGee messages, that's not right. Do you know what I mean? So it changes your life. And Kevin is truly a brilliant man and a brilliant friend. And it stepping outside your comfort zone. That is, the main thing is changing life, being kind, changes things. And it's brilliant.
Well, I will ask you to give us a couple of minutes to get next door into the signing position. Not me, but Susan. And before we go, can you just say thank you?
Thank you very much, Nathan. Thank you.
We are both fans of Susan Calman, fans of her stand-up and in her quiz shows, and I also love Strictly, and she's just amazing. I absolutely love her, so I really wanted to come and see her.
It was everything we imagined and more. I mean, Valentina and I, we were just fangirling like nobody's business. She's just one of the most uplifting, inspirational people I've ever met, and to be able to tell her that to her face was just...
And she's so honest as well. She cried a few times during the event, and I think other people in the audience did as well. And I
was terrified of telling her how much of a fan I was in case I made her cry again. If people had photos taken afterwards, there's just mascara running and everything.